in the league. We in the league. We in the league. Step to the mic, let's get this right. World Baseball League, ready to ignite. Lapland Mosul, they swinging for the sky. Adelaide right, watch them glide by. Rome 10 Turkion, strong and proud. Dubai better run, hitting hard, no doubt. London, the Red Coast, they're rocking that style. California surfers rolling with the wild. Honolulu, bringing that heat. In the game, they can't accept the
Okay, so let's dig into this. We've got a whole stack of sources here, but they all boil down to one central question.
Right.
When you trade away the best hitter of a generation, are you basically signing your own death warrant? Or are you secretly building a monster?
And that's exactly what the 2020 WBL season was all about. We're diving deep into how the Longbow Hunters secured their second straight World Series, beating Galapagos 4-2.
That's the story, isn't it? A second consecutive title. It's their third championship overall since 2015.
So you have to be asking yourself, are we watching the birth of a genuine WBL dynasty?
Yeah.
And if we are, what kind of dynasty is it? Because it's one built on a total paradox.
Exactly. The defining paradox is that Longbow won these back-to-back titles after trading away the 7-time MVP Jeff Monroe.
And that wasn't just any trade. People are calling it the most controversial trade in WBL history.
The conventional wisdom was that Longbow was done, that they were crippled by ego or, just short-sightedness.
And yet, here we are. Monroe goes to Toronto, and, well, he doesn't just play well, he dominates the league again, wins his 7th MVP.
Yeah, a record-tying 7th MVP.
So the numbers validated the star. But the trophy, well, 2 trophies now, they validated Longbow's GM, Bill. He is now, without a doubt, a serious candidate for GM of the decade.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really move past those staggering MVP stats. We're going to analyze the strategic calls, the statistical anomalies, and those huge playoff moments that show exactly how Longbow's depth and just sheer mental toughness dismantled the rest of the league. Let's start with the regular season because the whole environment was just absolutely charged. In the Southern League, the story, as it almost always is, was St. Lucia. They were a machine, the best record in all of baseball at 101-61.
You really can't talk about consistency without talking about St. Lucia, that 101-win season. That was their 21st consecutive non-losing season.
21st.
Since the WBL even began, they've never finished below .500. That's almost incomprehensible in professional sports.
And here's the punchline, the brutal punchline that just defines their whole existence.
Right.
Despite all that consistency, their 101 wins, St. Lucia has only one World Series title to show for it. Yeah. They are the definition of regular season kings who just falter in October.
It must drive their fans absolutely mad. It creates this incredible narrative tension.
And if you look over at the Northern League, it was just as competitive. Longbow finished strong 99-63.
But the big story, the real surprise, was Lapland.
Oh, absolutely.
An expansion franchise. Started back in 2009. They go 98-64 and punch their ticket to their first ever playoffs. That is incredible growth. You have to give GM Spin immense credit for that.
You're so right to bring up Spin. That's what won him GM of the Year over Bill, who, actually won the championship.
Which just shows how much the voters value seeing a new team, an expansion team, finally break through.
But it wasn't just Lapland. Rome went 96-66. Their best season in franchise history.
And that says a lot about the health of the WBL, doesn't it?
It does.
When teams like Rome, Lapland, London, Dubai, teams that have historically struggled or having career years, the league is fundamentally sound. It's balanced.
And that pressure played out in that Southern League wildcard race. It was dramatic. London and Dubai tied at 79-84.
Forcing game 163. A one-game winner-take-all playoff.
Dubai wins it. They snatch the final ticket. Can you just imagine the heartbreak in London?
To have the best season in your franchise's history, only to lose it all on the 163rd game. The stakes just don't get any higher.
Okay, so before we get to the playoffs, let's talk individual hardware. The exiled star, Jeff Monroe, he absolutely delivered for Toronto.
He posted a 7.2 WAR. For those who don't know, that's wins above replacement, probably the single best stat for players' overall value.
And he led the whole league in batting at .352, OPS at over 1,000.
Just a monster year, solidified that 7th MVP. But what's really fascinating is what was happening in the South. Janos van Neumann from Galapagos.
Yeah, he won his first MVP and actually led the entire WBL with an 8.0 WAR. He hit .330, just the centerpiece of that offense.
And he's a true dual threat. This is what's so wild.
Right. He made 30 starts as pitcher.
His ERA was 4.76, which, it sounds a little high.
For a dedicated starter, yeah. But when he's also an MVP hitter, leading the league in WAR, suddenly that ERA is completely fine. GM Luke must love that kind of roster flexibility.
Oh, for sure. And the pitching talent was just fierce everywhere else. Joe Ross from Rome, he got his third Cy Young.
But the generational guy, the one everyone is watching, is St. Lucia's Heliodoro Carapa.
Carapa, in just his fourth season, wins his second Cy Young award. Rookie of the Year, a Cy Young runner-up, now back-to-back Cy Youngs.
So St. Lucia can clearly find and develop elite talent. Now, if only they could translate that to October.
Well, that lack of translation brings us right into the playoff drama, doesn't it?
It does.
After the play-ins, and you got a feel for Dubai, winning game 163, only to get bounced immediately by St. Martin, we jumped into the division series.
And here's where that whole St. Lucia narrative just explodes. The curse continues.
St. Lucia, the 101-win juggernaut, loses to St. Martin, 4-3. It's hard to overstate how big of a collapse that is.
It's not just a loss, though. It feels like a profound psychological issue at this point.
It has to be. The sources point out this is the 6th straight time St. Martin has eliminated them. Out of 7 total meetings, this isn't luck anymore.
So what is it? Is it purely a mental block, or is St. Martin building their roster specifically to beat St. Lucia?
I think it's the second one creating the first.
Yeah.
It's strategic exploitation creating the mental block.
Explain that.
St. Lucia's offense, it's high octane, it relies on long innings. But St. Martin's bullpen is built on these elite high-leverage arms who just come in for short bursts and kill rallies. They stop St. Lucia's momentum cold.
And St. Lucia's management knows this, which just adds to the anxiety.
Exactly. It confirms their own mental defeat before it even happens.
So while that's going on, Galapagos takes out Denver 4-2. An incredible comeback, winning 4 straight after being down 0-2.
But the absolute emotional pivot of the entire season was the Northern League Division Series.
The ultimate revenge tour.
That's what it was supposed to be. Toronto, led by MVP Jeff Monroe, jumps out to what looked like an insurmountable 3-0 lead over Longbow.
I remember watching that. Longbow looked finished. It felt inevitable that Monroe would get his revenge.
Especially after Game 2, 3 home runs in 1 game.
One game. It felt like Toronto was 1 win away from completely validating that trade for the star.
But this is where it shifts from fate to adaptation. Disaster strikes for Toronto in Game 3. Future Hall of Famer Dan Parker gets a crucial injury. He's out for the series.
So here's the question. Was that just pure dumb luck for Longbow? If Parker stays healthy, does Longbow still pull off that reverse sweep?
I don't think so. It's never just luck at this level. Parker's injury was the crack in the armor, and Longbow's manager, Chris Williams, immediately exploited it.
4 straight wins. An impossible reverse sweep.
And the key is what happened to Monroe. After that explosive Game 2, he went quiet. Without Parker hitting behind him, Longbow could just pitch around him in big spots.
Right. They forced Toronto's other lesser hitters to try and beat them.
And they couldn't. So Monroe's individual greatness, the very thing that won him MVP, got neutralized by Longbow's tactical depth.
That is the definition of a dynasty. That ability to pivot.
Meanwhile, Lapland gets their first ever playoff series win, beating Rome 4-1.
Which sets up this great NLCS, the emotionally surging Longbow against the upstart Lapland.
Longo takes it 4-1, but we have to talk about Lapland's ace, Dave Spuller.
The guy was lights out. A 1.04 ERA in 4 playoff starts. But the sources are clear. His stamina was a problem. He was only lasting 4, maybe 5 innings.
Which raises a huge strategic question for them going forward. That ERA is elite, but the short starts limit his value.
So do you convert him to a high-leverage closer, like a Paul Schwartz or, Longbow's own John Ranson?
That's the model, right? The fireman who comes in to put out the biggest fire. Maximizing Spuller's brilliance in short bursts might be their key to becoming a real champion.
While all that's going on in the north, Galapagos ends St. Martin's magical run in the SLCS, setting up the World Series. The World Series, Longbow versus Galapagos, and Galapagos came out swinging. They were not intimidated at all.
Not one bit. They won the first 2 games on the road in Longbow's Park.
That immediately put all the pressure back on the champs, but this is where their depth really, really showed up.
They go into Galapagos, win 3 straight on the road, then come home and clinch it in Game 6. Final series, 4-2.
We have to give Galapagos their due, though. Even in a loss, their playoff run was incredible. Their offense was electric.
A.E. Douglas was, and I'm quoting here, unconscious. He hit .408 with 7 homers in their run.
Gregor Mendel had 5 homers. Max Blakeway had 6. Just a ton of power.
And their pitcher, Justin Moore, had a 1.42 ERA in his 3 World Series starts. They were a worthy opponent. They'll be back.
But Longbow's depth and clutch hitting won out. We have to talk about the unsung heroes here.
Yes.
Catcher Alex Meeks hit .286 with 4 homers, including that massive grand slam in the clincher that just broke their spirit.
Matt Kelly was right there with him. .270, 4 home runs. These weren't the big names, but they were the difference makers.
And then there's the anchor, John Ranson.
10th consecutive NL Reliever of the Year award. He finished the run with 5 shutdowns and a 1.83 ERA in almost 20 high-leverage innings.
You just can't win back-to-back titles without a force like that in your bullpen. He's championship insurance.
And don't forget Justin, the K guy, Condapani in the rotation, a 2.36 ERA in 4 huge starts.
Game 6 was the final statement, a 12-6 win.
Corey Wright's triple in the first set the tone. Kelly's double in the 5th created the space.
But the moment everyone will remember was that Alex Meeks grand slam in the 7th. That was the backbreaker. That sealed it.
World Series MVP Corey Wright said it best after the win. Nobody can take this away from us.
And manager Chris Williams talked about their intensity and hunger. It was that culture, built on depth, not star power, that won them the title.
So let's look at the final narratives that really defined the 2020 landscape.
Right. Longbow gets the trophy, but the GM of the Year award goes to Spin of Lapland for that 98-win season.
Which is a great story, but it does create this tension, right? What's more impressive, building a contender from scratch or maintaining a dynasty after making the most controversial trade in history?
Longbow now has 3 championships in 6 years. The Monroe trade is officially a seminal event. It proved that, in the WBL at least, team building beats star power.
And that competitive balance we talked about is excellent for the league. Rome, Lapland, London, Dubai, all having career years. It means Longbow's path is only going to get tougher.
But the anomaly, the mystery we keep coming back to, is St. Lucia.
21 straight non-losing seasons. A generational Cy Young winner in Carapa.
And they still can't break that playoff curse against St. Martin. It's a crisis of confidence, but it looks like a strategic failure.
Which raises all these questions for 2021. Can Longbow get the three-peat? Only Toronto has ever done that.
Can St. Lucia finally break the curse? Is Lapland's success sustainable?
I think what this deep dive really showed us is that the Longbow Hunters secured their dynasty status by prioritizing culture, adjustments, and depth over one superstar.
They proved they could win without the face of their franchise.
And that brings us to a final provocative thought for you to chew on. The Monroe trade is often seen as a win-win. Longbow gets the rings, Toronto gets the MVPs.
It's fair.
But if Longbow's entire strategy is built on neutralizing superstars, which they proved they could do against Monroe himself, does Monroe's incredible individual success actually, in a weird way, help Longbow by distracting the rest of the league? Or is that individual validation enough for Toronto?
It really raises the fundamental question, doesn't it? Can individual greatness truly coexist with the championship culture in the modern, highly strategic WBL?
Step to the mic, let's get this right. Right, World Baseball League, ready to ignite. Lapland Mosul, they swinging for the sky. Adelaide right, watch them glide by. Bronson, Turkion, strong and proud. Dubai better run, hitting hard, no doubt. London, the Red Coast, they're rocking that style. California surfers rolling with the wild. Honolulu, bringing that heat. In the game, they can't accept defeat. So take a seat, let's go for a ride.